All right, hi everyone, 10 Tampa Bay Chief Meteorologist Bobby Deskins here. Let's talk hot water. Have you heard? 101.1 degrees at a sensor in the southern Florida area. We're talking the Manatee Bay, which is down there in the Keys, the Florida Keys, basically. 101.1 degrees yesterday. Let's talk about what's going on, why that's happening. I just want to give you a brief update on it today and give you some theories that I'm working on now as I dig deeper into exactly what's going on here. So what are we talking about? We're actually talking about not in the Tampa area, not on the eastern part of Florida, but down here in South Florida between the Keys and the Everglades. Really, this area that's right in here. All of those sensors, in fact, the sensor that we're looking at was right in there that recorded 101 degrees yesterday. That's jacuzzi style heat. Now, the numbers here have been running 3, 4, 5, sometimes even 6 degrees above average. The numbers you're seeing right now, that's about 4 to 5 degrees, a little bit warmer in some spots, higher than average. So yes, this is very warm water. For instance, in the Tampa area, you look at that, we're not that far off. We don't have this hot water problem right here at this time. 88 degrees at Clearwater Beach earlier this morning. The average is about 89. So 87 to 89, it depends. So we're running maybe 1 to 2 degrees above average. We don't have the big issue in our neck of the woods that they do down there. Now, Manatee Bay, where that red dot is, you can see the Keys right here. You see the Key Island chain right here, coming all the way down. So we're talking Miami is just right up here, okay, right off the screen. There's where the sensor was that measured this yesterday. And here's the reading from that station, MNBF1. You can get that from the National Data Buoy Center, okay? This is 101.1. You can see 100. The top of this line is 101. That was yesterday. Now, here's the deal. We heard that. I checked it this morning. Knew it was 101.1. This morning, it was 89 degrees. So what? And then look, it started to warm up today, and then boom, it's crashing. Look at this. It's down below 88 degrees right now. It was 101.1 yesterday. It did a very similar peak the day before. So what's going on here? Well, there's several different things going on. First of all, the reason why it cooled today is they got rain, right? And that's part of the overall issue. Number one, they have not had a lot of rain there. They've also had a lot of west winds. I'll talk about that. Right now, if you can see, we actually have some east to northeast winds over top of that area. And at least easterly winds are pretty normal for this time of the year. That, too, should help push some of this water out of there and drain it, but that has not been happening. So let me go over just a couple of theories I'm working on here and just kind of answer a couple of questions. This is something that we're going to have to dive in deeper to really get to the bottom of it. But here are my theories. Number one, west winds. All right, the west winds that we have been seeing from Tampa all the way to Miami since the first week of June. We normally have southeast winds for a week or two. And then we'll get 3 or 4 days of west winds, and then we'll flip back to the southeast winds. You know how we don't have a lot of rain around the area? Severe drought in parts of the Tampa area, Sarasota especially, in the middle of rainy season because west winds are blowing all of our rain in. Down here, where Manatee Bay, west winds would blow. You just don't get a lot of rain developing out here. And so you're not having rain fall here. Versus now you can get rain and tropical waves coming in and giving you heavier showers and cooling things off, right? So that's part of the issue. Now, west winds also trap some water in there as well, too, because water's coming down out of the Everglades, right? It's glowing from north to south in the Everglades. The water here, it rains over the Everglades. That water drains down into Manatee Bay, down in here into just north of the Keys. And then the Everglades are amazing. They basically filter it all out. You have less rain to do that. And so the water that does fall in here doesn't get refreshed with more rain as often. And so that heats up because the sun's shining down, right, on all those plants and vegetation in the Everglades and heats that water up as a result. And then that warm water flows right into Manatee Bay, right into that area there north of the Keys. Now, you also have debris in the water. So you've got dead vegetation. This is normal, grass, that types of thing, seagrass, and an easterly wind generally would filter that out. And I'm thinking that the westerly winds that we've had have really helped to trap that debris in that upper area there. In fact, it's west to southwest winds. You could argue it's blowing other debris up into that area. So now what you have is like this soupy mix of dead grasses and debris and water, right? That grass and debris, it heats up quickly during the day. Gets very hot, and then in turn warms up the water. So this west to southwest wind has piled up all this warm water in there. It's piled up debris. This is one of my theories, right? And that debris is heating up. Plus, the sensors near the landmass, right? Even if there is water coming off of the Everglades, that's very warm water to begin with anyways, right? Now, lack of rainfall. Miami is 2.41 inches short since June 1st. Only went back to June 1st. They start their rainy season about May 15th. But since rainy season really started, they're about 2.5 inches short. It's not terrible, but it's not as much rainfall as they normally see. Now, tidal effects. Certainly, that is what we are seeing in this graph right here. Okay, now here's the deal. These sensors are supposed to be placed at about 5 feet below mean low tide. Water on the surface is usually hotter, and it can be much hotter than water at the bottom. So look what's happening here. Yesterday morning, it was about 89 degrees in the morning. I would say we had a low tide, high tide, right? We had a lot of water there. The sensor is lower in the water. It's lower down in the water column, so it's seeing cooler water. Then the tide drops, and we get closer and closer to the surface water that's being heated by debris, that's being heated by the sun, that's been blown up into that area. A lot going on there, right? Now that sensor, because the tide is low and the water level is low, that top water is closer to that sensor, so the temp jumps up. And then what happens? The tide comes back in. Water level rises. Now the sensor is looking deeper and deeper and deeper into the water column. That has to be what this is. And I'm sure people that look at this all the time say, clearly that's what it is. I just have not studied these particular stations that often. But then you can see what happened today. It started to warm up, and then here came the rain and everything cooled off. Okay, so that's my theory for that one as well. Now, you can't sit here and say that climate change is not affecting this. It is. El Nino is affecting this as well. If you look at the water temperatures across the Atlantic right now, especially the Northeast Atlantic, look at that. I mean, this is extremely warm water. The Earth is warm. In fact, this summer is likely going to be the warmest summer that we have in the recent memory, right? El Nino is also occurring at the same time. So when you talk global temperatures, and you've probably heard that global temperatures are spiking, right, and reached records the last couple of weeks. Well, look, the water's warming up here in El Nino. That tends to warm the water elsewhere as well, including the Atlantic. And the Atlantic is just very warm, 2-3 degrees above average. So that's a large swath of the globe that is warmer than average. So you just factor that in alone, and you're going to get these very warm temperatures. The Earth is warming. We're measuring it. The issue with climate change is that the rate of that warming is so fast. And that's why it's this urgency to try and figure it out and to fix the problem. But when you look at what's going on down here with these water temperatures, that's part of the problem. I would argue to you that most of what's happening now is because of the west winds that we've seen this year. The way that it's backed things up in there, the lack of rainfall that we've seen. It hasn't been terrible there. They've seen more rain than we have in Tampa for sure. And then climate change on top of it, yeah, that adds a degree, right? It's not going to add a bunch, but climate change is really measured over time versus what we've seen in summertime here with these water temperatures over the last month or so. That is measured in days and weeks. And certainly weather patterns like the west winds can affect that. Look, weather patterns are affecting it right now, right? We're seeing some rain out there, and it's cooled those numbers off. Let's hope that trend continues and cool things off. Bottom line, there's a major coral bleaching event happening right now in the Keys. How much of that water, I don't think 101 is reaching the coral, because the coral is usually a little bit lower in the water column, but still warmer than what the coral can handle water is what's occurring there right now. So hopefully things will change quickly. We're going to stay on top of this here at 10 Tampa Bay. Like I said, those are a bunch of my theories. I'm just kind of looking at it, but very, very interesting. And for people who live in Florida, who vacation in Florida, love the Keys, love the water, you know, this is one of those things where you're going to notice some changes if you haven't already. So we need to pay attention to this. All right, guys, thank you very much for watching. I'll keep you updated. Take care.